A highly dynamic and high-impact weather pattern will dominate Europe through the weekend as a powerful North Atlantic cyclone reshapes conditions across much of the continent. The overall setup is defined by a sharp contrast between stormy, moisture-laden Atlantic air advancing eastward and entrenched cold air locked in place over northern and northeastern Europe. This clash of air masses, combined with complex terrain interactions, will produce severe winds, flooding rainfall, and a major alpine snowfall event, while parts of southeastern Europe experience anomalous warmth more typical of early spring than midwinter. By Friday evening, a rapidly deepening low-pressure system, analyzed near 958 megabytes, will be positioned just west of Ireland and Scotland. The pressure gradient around this system will be exceptionally tight, generating a broad swath of damaging winds across the northeastern Atlantic and into western Europe. Gale force winds will be widespread, with storm force gusts likely along exposed Atlantic coasts of Ireland, western Scotland, and coastal Wales. These winds will gradually expand into western France and the Benelux countries as the associated cold front advances inland. Seas will be very rough to high across the North Atlantic and adjacent coastal waters, with significant marine impacts expected. As the cold front pushes eastward late Friday into Saturday, widespread rainfall will overspread western Europe. Ireland, the United Kingdom, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and western Germany will experience periods of moderate to heavy rain, with accumulated totals generally ranging from 15 to 35 millimeters. However, orographic enhancement will significantly increase totals in windward coastal and mountainous regions. Parts of western Scotland, Wales, Brittany, and the western slopes of Norway may exceed 50 to 70 millimeters, raising the risk of localized flooding, river rises, and saturated ground conditions. Behind the front, winds will slowly ease but remain gusty, while temperatures settle closer to seasonal norms, generally in the mid-single digits to near 9 degrees Celsius by Sunday. During Saturday, the primary low will track northward over Scotland, while gradually filling to around 970, feigning 75 megabytes. Attention will then shift southward as the advancing cold front reaches the Alpine region. The interaction between strong upper-level forcing, abundant Atlantic moisture, and the complex alpine topography will be critical. As the front encounters the Alps, it will slow and begin to deform, triggering Lee cyclogenesis south of the mountains. This process will lead to the development of a secondary low-pressure center over northern Italy and the Gulf of Genoa, a classic and highly efficient setup for prolonged and intense precipitation across the Alpine arc. This evolution will result in one of the most significant alpine snowfall events of the season. As colder air wraps into the system and freezing levels fall, precipitation will transition decisively to snow across higher elevations. Widespread snowfall accumulations of 25 to 50 centimeters are expected across much of the French, Swiss, Austrian, and northern Italian Alps. In the highest elevations and favored upslope regions, totals are likely to exceed 75 centimeters, with localized amounts surpassing 1 meter by Sunday midday. Snowfall rates may be intense at times, leading to near whiteout conditions in mountain passes, severe travel disruptions, and a sharply elevated avalanche risk. Lower elevations north of the Alps, including parts of southern Germany and Austria, will initially see rain with a gradual transition to wet snow or a rain-snow mix late Saturday into Sunday as colder air filters southward across the western and central Mediterranean. The impacts will vary sharply by location. Northern Spain and the Pyrenees will be affected by the southern flank of the Atlantic system, bringing periods of moderate to heavy precipitation. Rainfall totals of 20 to 50 millimeters are likely, while higher elevations of the Pyrenees and the Cantabrian Mountains will receive substantial snowfall, with accumulations commonly exceeding 20 to 40 centimeters. In contrast, southern and eastern Spain will remain largely sheltered from the storm, maintaining mostly dry, mild, and relatively stable conditions. Italy will experience a marked deterioration in weather as the Genoa Low strengthens. Northern and central regions, including Lombardy, Emilia, Romagna, Tuscany, and parts of Veneto, will see widespread rain, locally heavy and persistent. Embedded convection may produce thunderstorms, especially near coastal areas and over the Tyrrhenian Sea. Rainfall totals over a 48-hour period are expected to reach 35 to 60 millimeters, with locally higher amounts along the Apennines and in areas exposed to persistent upslope flow. Snow will be heavy in the northern Apennines and at higher elevations across northern Italy, further compounding travel challenges. Along the Adriatic coast and into the western Balkans, precipitation will also be enhanced with heavy rain and mountain snow impacting Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, and adjacent regions. In stark contrast to the storm-dominated west and south, Scandinavia and northeastern Europe will remain under the firm control of a strong high-pressure system centered near 1,030 megabytes. This high will effectively block Atlantic systems from penetrating eastward, locking in a pool of very cold air across Norway, Sweden, Finland, and the Baltic states. Temperatures throughout the weekend will remain well below seasonal averages. Daytime highs will struggle between -10 degrees Celsius and -20 degrees Celsius across much of the region, with even colder readings possible in interior northern areas and during nighttime hours. Upper air analyses indicate temperatures at 850 megabytes running 12 to 16 degrees Celsius below normal, highlighting the severity of the cold anomaly. Most of the region will remain dry and stable, though strong westerly flow impinging on the Norwegian coast will continue to generate significant precipitation there. Coastal areas will see rain, while heavy snowfall accumulates inland over the mountains due to strong orographic lift. Farther southeast, conditions will be notably different once again. Ahead of the slow-moving cold front, strong southerly flow will transport unusually warm air northward into the Balkans, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, and western Turkey. Temperature anomalies will be striking, with values at 850 megabytes running 10 to 15 degrees Celsius above normal. At the surface, this will translate into unseasonably mild conditions, with daytime highs reaching 12 degrees Celsius to 17 degrees Celsius across much of Greece, the southern Balkans, and western Turkey by Sunday. These values are more typical of early spring and will contrast sharply with the deep winter cold over Scandinavia. For most areas, conditions will remain dry through the majority of the period, though increasing cloud cover and localized heavy rain may begin to affect western Turkey toward the end of the forecast window as the frontal system slowly approaches. Overall, Europe will experience a pronounced north, south, and west-east divide this weekend, driven by a powerful Atlantic storm interacting with entrenched continental cold air and complex terrain. The most significant hazards include damaging winds and flooding rainfall in Western Europe, a high-impact and potentially dangerous snowfall event in the Alps, persistent severe cold in Scandinavia and northeastern Europe, and anomalous warmth across southeastern regions.